Hi, I'm Tim Hollinger. I'm one of the W. Garfield Weston Foundation Fellows for the 2020 season. My research focuses on the eastern shore of Lake Nipigon, specifically the Namewaminikan River, and working with Rocky Bay First Nation. We'll get right into it here. So Rocky Bay is on the southeast shore of Lake Nipigon. Here you have the tugboat that I lived on for a week working with community commercial fishermen, the last of which on Lake Nipigon. In the background there, you'll see the community situated on the shores. So I lived on this tug for a week collecting some baseline data on Lake Nipigon for the community. Here you'll have the diesel can, our workstation with the table there. We ended up sleeping on that floor one night when we were up until about 1 a.m. processing fish. Here you have the sleeping quarters. We were planning on camping out on shore for most of the trip, but ended up sleeping on a few of those bunks in the cabin where it was much warmer after we experienced a few nights of near winter camping in the beginning of October. And here you have the kitchen where our gracious host and captain Abraham cooked us some nice moose sausages and a few lasagnas over the course of the week. So life on Lake Nipigon for the week was pretty rough. Inclement weather, often changing very quickly. Here you have Ariel and Lexi, who are two biologists from the Ontario Aboriginal/Ontario Fisheries Research Center. So while we were out there, they were collecting fish population data to help Rocky Bay inform management on walleye populations. Rocky Bay is interested in reopening the walleye fishery while it's been closed for about 20 or 30 years on Lake Nipigon. And we would set out to collect river samples. My supervisor wasn't able to make it due to COVID complications. And so they were gracious enough to bring one of their 18-foot boats to motor me around to a few rivers. Still wasn't quite able to get all the data I wanted out of those rivers, but we got what we needed to fulfill our First Nations environmental contaminants program, which we were also collecting fish biopsies for from Umbabaka Bay. And here you have Abraham and Adam, the two fishermen, collecting their gill nets from the bottom of Umbabaka Bay. And so we sampled walleye, pike, and a few whitefish for contaminants data for that FNECP program. I think the biggest part of this trip for me and my research specifically on the Namewaminikan River was building a connection with Abraham and Adam, a relationship where, we began to show them how to collect, fish measurements, fish biopsies, take water samples, use some of our equipment, um, you know, how to use a ponar, how to take algae samples, and they showed me how much faster they could clean a fish than I can, and also, their secret fishing spots, which yielded upwards of 650 fish just over the course of 2 nights of nets. Um, so building that connection with them really enhanced my ability to collect data on the river here, which unfortunately we weren't able to get out until the beginning of November. And ice buildup on the river did inhibit some of our data collection, but we were able to collect water and sediment data at a few locations, and we set nets, and much to their surprise, our fish nets only yielded 3 fish between 2 gill nets. They thought we would fill the boat. It wasn't quite the case. There we have the Twin Falls Dam. So we're upstream of that, and as you'll see here, a common occurrence on the river was major ice blockage, inhibiting us from getting to the locations that we needed to get to. So as a result of that, we'll be continuing our sampling efforts in the spring of 2021 to catch more fish in order to get a more accurate representation of contaminants and how mercury moves in the system. And lastly, there's a finishing shot with the beautiful Lake Nipigon and one of the few rays of sun we saw during that week out on the lake. I'd like to thank WCS, the W. Garfield Weston Foundation, for their support. I could not have been able to, build the relationship that I did with the fishermen had it not been for the funding to be able to travel back and forth between Thunder Bay and the community, um, and also to collect some samples this past fall and into the next spring. It really does mean a lot, and it will help my research quite a bit. I hope to have my thesis all done by the end of the summer, at which point we will have much more results, as right now most of our data, due to the large nature of it, is still in the lab. So hopefully by the end of the summer I'll have a nice big thesis ready by the end of the summer with a bunch of results depicting how mercury moves in the Namewaminikan River system and a bit about contaminants in Lake Nipigon. Thank you.